The shrill sound of alarms filled the cramped cabin, as Clara struggled to hold back the rising panic. Lights flashed an urgent red, and the navigation system was fried. She was plummeting, her ship spiraling out of control in the vast, uncharted darkness of space. Control, I've lost trajectory. Repeat, I've lost all navigation control. Requesting immediate cease, her voice cut out, static echoing through the radio. Moments later, her ship pierced the atmosphere of an unknown planet, shuddering violently as it hurtled through layers of dense, viscous air. She gripped the controls, teeth clenched as the hull creaked, threatening to split. And then, as if the planet itself had swallowed her whole, everything went silent. When Clara opened her eyes, she was lying on the floor of her wrecked ship, bruised but alive. Pulling herself to her feet, she unlatched the hatch and stepped out, her breath catching at the sight around her. An alien forest, glowing in hues of blue and green, stretched as far as she could see. Strange, luminous plants dotted the landscape, casting an ethereal light that danced over her skin. The trees themselves had exposed roots, coiling like tendrils toward her. She took a tentative step forward, the strange bioluminescent flora lighting her way. The silence was unnatural, thick and weighty, as if the entire forest was holding its breath. A sudden, whispering voice echoed in her mind, faint, almost imperceptible. It wasn't coming from outside, it was inside her head. She couldn't make out the words, only the sensation. And, inexplicably, she felt compelled to follow it. Her footsteps took her deeper into the forest, her pulse quickening as the alien vegetation seemed to lean in closer, as if observing her. Then, in a blink, a figure materialized in her path. It was humanoid yet distinctly alien, with translucent skin that shimmered under the strange glow of the flora. Its piercing green eyes locked onto hers with an intensity that made her freeze. She couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The creature didn't speak aloud, but a voice echoed in her mind, clear and cold. "Why have you come to Nyx?" Clara's mouth went dry, and she stammered, I didn't mean to. My ship crashed." The creature took a step closer, moving with a grace that felt both beautiful and predatory. "This is not a safe place for you," it warned, though its eyes held a strange curiosity. Before she could answer, the forest stirred, an eerie hum filling the air. The ground beneath her feet began to tremble, and she realized something immense was approaching. "Come," the creature ordered, extending a pale, slender hand. Clara hesitated, but, hearing the growing rumble behind her, reached out and grasped its hand, feeling the cool, smooth texture of its skin. They ran, the ground cracking open behind them as they dashed through the tangled forest. Clara's heart raced, fear choking her words. What is that?" The creature didn't look back. "Those who govern Nyx." It led her into a hidden cave nestled between the roots of a towering, ancient tree. As soon as they entered, the vibrations ceased, and a tense quiet returned. Clara pulled her hand away, pressing her back against the cave wall, staring at the being in front of her. "Why did you save me?" she whispered, struggling to keep the fear from her voice. The creature's gaze was unreadable. "Because," it replied slowly, "you may be the key to something we have waited for a very long time." Before she could question further, a metallic sound echoed deeper within the cave. Clara's pulse spiked. They weren't alone. The metallic sound echoed through the cave, bouncing off walls covered in strange, luminous moss. Clara held her breath, straining to make sense of the eerie, echoing noise. Her heart pounded, and she instinctively backed up, but the alien being, standing beside her, remained still and calm, watching her. What was that?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. The creature's gaze flicked toward the dark tunnel at the back of the cave. "The Warden. It knows you're here." Its voice in her mind was as calm as a whisper, but with an undercurrent of urgency that chilled her. Clara felt the panic rise again. What is the Warden?" The alien hesitated, and for the first time, a trace of fear glinted in its eyes. "It is the guardian of this place, the enforcer of balance. All life on Nyx is bound by its rule, even those who do not belong. And you," it looked at her pointedly, "you don't belong." Before she could respond, a piercing light swept through the cave entrance, illuminating everything in a harsh, silvery glow. Shadows danced across the walls, and Clara pressed herself into the rock, desperate to disappear. Her mysterious guide remained beside her, its translucent skin catching the strange light and refracting it into dazzling patterns. For a fleeting moment, she wondered if it was as alien to Nyx as she was. "Stay close to me," the creature said, its voice urgent now. "The Warden senses anything foreign. If it detects you fully, it will not hesitate to purge you from this world." Clara swallowed hard, nodding. "What do we do?" The alien extended its hand again, this time with a gravity that felt like a silent vow. "Trust me." She hesitated only for a second before taking its hand again. The moment her skin touched its cold, smooth surface, a wave of calm spread through her, a mental shield that felt like it was wrapping her entire being in silence. It was as though the creature's presence was a buffer, making her somehow invisible to whatever hunted them. The light at the cave entrance dimmed, then swept back, and the sound of something massive scraping against stone echoed again. They both stayed perfectly still until the noise faded, and the light vanished into the night outside. "Is it gone?" she asked, barely daring to breathe. The creature nodded slowly, its luminous eyes still fixed on the cave's entrance. "For now. But it will keep searching as long as you remain on Nyx." Clara exhaled in relief but felt the knot of tension in her stomach tighten. "Then why did you bring me here? Why did you save me if it's so dangerous?" The creature's gaze softened, and for the first time, she sensed something like sympathy. "You fell into Nyx because something called you here. There are places on this planet, ancient places that pull life from beyond our world. We don't fully understand why, but we know that anyone summoned here has a purpose. And if you are here, you may be part of something larger than either of us." Clara's mind reeled, struggling to grasp the implications of what it was saying. "But I didn't feel any calling. My ship just malfunctioned and crashed." "I'm not here for a purpose," she insisted, her voice shaking. The alien regarded her thoughtfully. "Are you so certain?" it asked. "Sometimes, what we think of as chance is simply destiny in disguise. And here on Nyx, destiny is palpable." The word hung in the air between them, heavy and mysterious. Clara's eyes narrowed. "What exactly is Nyx?" The creature's lips parted slightly, as though it was hesitant to reveal too much. "Nyx is not just a planet. It is alive. It feeds on the energy of life forms, even those passing through. The Warden keeps the balance, maintaining order by eliminating anything that disrupts the flow of this energy. But there are other forces here, ancient forces that lie beneath the surface, hidden and sleeping. Some call them echoes." Clara felt a chill run down her spine. "Echoes." "Yes. Fragments of consciousness, memories of those who once lived here, who became part of Nyx itself. They are powerful, and they can reach out, connect to those who pass close enough, even across galaxies. It's rare, but when it happens, the alien's gaze deepened, and it almost seemed sad. It means the world has chosen you for something. The echoes may need you." Before she could process this, the ground beneath them shook, and a distant rumble reverberated through the cave. The creature's eyes widened, the calm it had held for so long finally cracking. "The Warden has sensed the echoes moving," it said, urgency in its tone. "We have to leave. Now." Without waiting, it turned and led Clara deeper into the labyrinthine tunnels of the cave. She followed, her mind racing, struggling to grasp the terrifying idea that she was a target, hunted by an unstoppable force on a world that somehow knew she was there. As they plunged further into the darkness, a thought gnawed at her, one she couldn't shake. If Nyx had chosen her for something, would she ever be able to leave? The darkness grew denser as Clara and her alien guide ventured deeper into the cave. The walls were rough and cold, pulsing faintly with a greenish-blue glow, as if the planet itself was breathing around them. Each step they took echoed, amplifying the silence that hung heavy in the air. Clara's skin prickled with the unsettling sensation that they were being watched from the shadows, by something unseen yet omnipresent. After what felt like an eternity, the tunnel opened up into a vast underground chamber. Clara's breath caught in her throat as she took in the sight. Strange structures, like altars carved from a shimmering stone, lined the chamber walls. Symbols were etched into them, intricate and flowing, glowing faintly with the same bioluminescent light as the forest above. The air was thick with an energy she couldn't quite explain, a feeling both ancient and alive. The alien released her hand, stepping forward toward one of the altars, running its fingers along the carvings. "This is where the echoes dwell," it murmured, almost reverently. Clara approached cautiously, staring at the symbols. They felt oddly familiar, as if they resonated with something deep within her. "What are these echoes, really?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "They are remnants," the alien replied, eyes fixed on the symbols. "Fragments of those who came before. Their consciousness merged with Nyx, and now they exist as memories woven into the fabric of this world. They are asleep, but they stir when they sense someone from beyond." Clara shivered, pulling her jacket closer around her. "So they know I'm here?" The alien nodded slowly. "Yes. And they may have called you across space. The echoes rarely reach out, but when they do, it means there's something they need, something only you can give." Clara laughed nervously, though fear clung to every word. "What could I possibly offer to these ancient beings? I'm just a pilot. I don't have any answers. I don't even know why I'm here." The alien turned to her, its gaze intense. "Sometimes, purpose is hidden even from those who carry it. But the echoes will show you the truth, if you are willing to listen." Before Clara could respond, a deep rumbling filled the chamber. The ground shook, and the altars began to glow brighter, the symbols lighting up one by one. She took a step back, her heart pounding, as wisps of translucent light rose from the altars, swirling around her and the alien in a haunting dance. "Stay still," the alien instructed, its voice unusually sharp. "The echoes are awakening." The wisps swirled faster, coalescing into vague shapes that shimmered in the air like ghostly apparitions. Shadows formed faces, eyes, mouths, features blurred and indistinct, yet somehow familiar. Clara felt a pang of recognition, though she couldn't say why. A voice filled her mind, resonant and layered with 1,000 tones, like a choir speaking as one. "You are not the first to come to Nyx, Clara." She gasped, heart pounding. "You know my name? We know more than that. We have waited for you, across the eons, across the stars." The voice was calm, but it reverberated with a weight that felt eternal. Clara's mind swam with questions, fear, and confusion. "Why me?" she managed, her voice trembling. "What could you possibly need from me?" The echoes pulsed, and a surge of images flooded her mind. Glimpses of a war, civilizations rising and falling, countless beings standing where she now stood, their lives woven into the history of Nyx. She saw alien races, some familiar, others monstrous, each connected to the planet, all drawn here by the same mysterious force. "Nyx is not just a planet," the echoes continued. "It is a vessel for the memories of countless souls. But it is dying, fading. The balance has been broken. The Warden holds it together, but the world's time is ending. And only one from beyond can restore what has been lost." Clara's knees nearly buckled. "Restore? What? I don't understand. I'm just a pilot. I don't know how to fix an entire world." The alien stepped forward, placing a calming hand on her shoulder. "They believe you can. The echoes do not reach out in error. They have seen something in you, Clara, something that connects to their past." But the voices grew louder, more insistent, filling her mind to the breaking point. "You must complete the cycle. The cycle must not end." Clara winced, clutching her head. "What is the cycle? I don't know what you're asking of me." The swirling apparitions paused, and a single figure emerged from the ethereal mist, more defined than the others. It looked almost human, with sorrowful eyes and an outstretched hand. "It is not about knowing. It is about choosing. Do you choose to save Nyx, or let it fall into oblivion?" Clara felt the weight of the question sink into her bones, and for a moment, she was paralyzed by the enormity of it. This was more than she'd ever imagined, more than she thought she could bear. But as she looked into the eyes of the figure, something shifted within her, a flicker of resolve. "What happens if I say no?" she asked, voice barely a whisper. The figure's eyes darkened, and the chamber grew colder, as though the warmth and light were being sucked away. "Then the cycle ends, and Nyx will collapse. All that it holds will be lost." The alien beside her turned, its gaze pleading. You may have a choice, but Nyx does not. If you refuse, everything here will vanish. The Warden, the echoes, the life that clings to this world. But if you accept, you may yet save it. Clara swallowed, her heart pounding as the echo's words echoed in her mind. She didn't understand the full scope of what was being asked of her, but she knew one thing. Leaving Nyx to die, leaving behind everything and everyone in this strange ancient place, was a weight she wasn't sure she could carry. Her voice wavered, but she managed. I accept. The echoes pulsed with light, the chamber filling with a warmth that made her feel as though she was part of something greater than herself. The alien's eyes glimmered with a quiet pride as it reached for her hand once more. Then the cycle begins anew, the echoes intoned, their voices weaving through her mind. You will have one chance, Clara. You must reach the heart of Nyx before the Warden finds you. There, you will discover the path to restore balance, or destroy it. Clara's blood ran cold, the enormity of her decision sinking in. She was about to embark on a journey into the unknown, with forces beyond comprehension arrayed against her. But there was no turning back now. The chamber faded into darkness as the echoes withdrew, their final words lingering in Clara's mind like a distant drumbeat. Reach the heart of Nyx before the Warden finds you. She steadied herself, breathing deeply, her thoughts racing as she tried to comprehend the magnitude of the task before her. A shiver ran down her spine as the alien beside her gave her hand a gentle squeeze, grounding her back to the present. The heart of Nyx. Do you know where it is? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The alien's eyes shimmered, reflecting a faint sadness. Few who enter this world ever reach it. The heart is the source of all life here, the core of Nyx's essence. It is deep within the inner layers of this planet, beyond paths marked or safe. I can take you part of the way, but beyond that, it hesitated. Even I do not know what you will face. Clara's stomach twisted. The urgency in the echo's voices told her that she had no time to waste, and the thought of the Warden tracking her every step filled her with dread. Then let's go, she said, her voice firmer than she felt. If I have one chance to set things right, I don't intend to waste it. They left the chamber behind, descending into a series of tunnels that sloped sharply downward. The air grew warmer, thicker, and Clara could feel a strange electric pulse beneath her feet, as if the planet's very lifeblood was thrumming around her. The alien guided her in silence, moving with an urgency she hadn't seen before. They crossed caverns with crystalline structures glowing faintly, illuminating their path with an eerie beauty, and traversed narrow passageways where Clara had to press herself against the cold rock just to pass. Hours seemed to slip away, each one marked by the relentless beat of the Warden's pursuit. Every so often, Clara caught a flicker of light far behind them, the Warden's probing searchlight slicing through the darkness, relentless and cold. Her alien guide seemed unfazed, but Clara felt its tension in the tightening of its grip as they hurried deeper. Finally, they entered a cavern larger than any they'd seen before. In its center was a gaping chasm, a vast void that seemed to stretch endlessly into the earth. From it, a soft light pulsed, bathing the cavern in hues of blue and silver. Clara's breath caught. It was as though she was standing at the edge of a massive, breathing organism. She knew instinctively that this was the entrance to the heart of Nyx. "This is where I must leave you," the alien said, its voice tinged with regret. It released her hand, stepping back as if the chasm itself repelled it. "I cannot enter the heart. It is meant for you alone. The echoes will guide you from here." Clara felt a pang of fear at the thought of going on alone. You can't come with me? What if the Warden finds you?" The alien's eyes softened, its gaze lingering on her face. "My fate is bound to Nyx, whether I wish it or not. If the Warden comes for me, I will accept that fate. But you are meant for something beyond this world." It hesitated, then added, "Remember, Clara, the heart is ancient, powerful. It will test you. Trust what you feel, not what you see." Before she could respond, the alien stepped back, fading into the shadows. Clara felt a pang of loss, but there was no time to dwell on it. She turned to face the chasm, feeling a strange pull at her core, as if something deep within Nyx was calling to her. Taking a deep breath, she stepped into the chasm. To her surprise, she did not fall. Instead, she floated downward, weightless, as if an invisible force was guiding her descent. The walls around her began to glow, symbols and faces appearing in the stone, like 1,000 souls trapped in its depths, watching her with silent, pleading eyes. She finally landed on a narrow ledge, the tunnel ahead lit by a faint blue glow. The air here was thick and humming with energy, and she could feel a strange warmth emanating from the walls. She moved forward, drawn by the rhythmic pulse she now realized matched her own heartbeat. The tunnel opened up into a small chamber, and at its center, floating above a stone altar, was a crystal unlike anything she'd ever seen. It pulsed with a brilliant, almost blinding light, shifting between colors in a mesmerizing dance. This, she knew, was the heart of Nyx. She took a cautious step forward, feeling the warmth intensify. Her head swam as a cascade of voices filled her mind, overlapping and intertwining, forming a chaotic symphony. The echoes were here, and they were speaking directly to her. To save Nyx, the cycle must continue. You hold the key to balance. Choose wisely. Clara's mind reeled as images and memories that were not her own flooded her vision. She saw Nyx as it had been eons ago, a thriving world with beings of every shape and kind. She saw the Warden, a creature of light and stone, created to preserve the balance and harmony of Nyx. But over time, as the planet weakened, the Warden had grown harsh, purging anything it deemed a threat to Nyx's fragile balance. It had become a relentless enforcer, an unstoppable force that saw only in absolutes. The echo's voices softened, growing more insistent. Restore the balance, or let Nyx perish. Clara took a shaky breath, the enormity of the decision pressing down on her. She reached out to touch the crystal, feeling its warmth surge through her, filling her with a sense of peace and purpose. And then, a new voice broke through the others, a cold metallic voice that sent chills through her veins. You do not belong here, outsider. She whipped around, her heart pounding. The Warden had entered the chamber, its massive form filling the entrance, its piercing light focused solely on her. The creature's body seemed to be made of the same crystal as the heart, but it radiated a deadly energy that made her instinctively step back. Your presence disrupts the cycle, it intoned, advancing slowly. For Nyx to survive, you must be purged. Clara's hand tightened around the crystal instinctively, and to her surprise, it responded, growing warm in her grasp. The echo's voices filled her mind again, urgent and pleading. Clara, the heart grants you power, but it will come at a cost. Only you can restore the balance, but you must be willing to let go. She didn't fully understand what they meant, but she knew this was her last chance. Summoning all her courage, she looked up at the Warden, meeting its cold, unfeeling gaze. I don't want to disrupt the cycle, she said, her voice trembling but resolute. I want to help save Nyx. I'm here because the echoes called me. The Warden paused, the light in its eyes flickering as if processing her words. But then, it raised an arm, energy crackling along its crystalline body, preparing to strike. Desperately, Clara lifted the crystal, letting its power flow into her, feeling it surge through her veins, connecting her to the very essence of Nyx. She closed her eyes, focusing on the warmth, the heartbeat of the planet pulsing with her own. And then, a blinding flash filled the chamber, as Clara and the Warden collided in a burst of energy that shattered the silence. Blinding light filled the chamber, radiating from the clash between Clara and the Warden. Waves of energy pulsed outward, cracking the walls, sending shards of crystalline rock splintering in all directions. Clara's body was flooded with an intense warmth as the heart of Nyx connected to her, a surge of raw power coursing through her veins. She felt as if her mind was expanding, stretching out to touch every part of the planet, every root, every breath of life. The Warden staggered, its form flickering, as if struggling against an unseen force. Its cold, piercing gaze fixed on Clara, confusion and rage contorting its usually emotionless features. You are not one of us. You do not belong, it roared, its voice booming, reverberating through her very bones. Clara's grip tightened on the heart, feeling its energy merging with her own, their rhythms sinking into a single, steady pulse. The echoes spoke again in her mind, their voices unified and calm. The cycle is yours to shape, Clara. Only you can restore the balance, or let Nyx fall into darkness. She closed her eyes, reaching deep into herself, searching for the resolve to make the choice. She could feel the weight of Nyx's history pressing upon her, the countless lives that had come before, each one bound to the cycle, each one part of this planet's ancient legacy. The memories of all those who had once inhabited Nyx, their hopes, their fears, their sacrifices, all now intertwined with her own consciousness. Slowly, she opened her eyes, meeting the Warden's gaze, and spoke with a voice that felt both hers and not hers, as if the echoes themselves were speaking through her. "I am here because Nyx called me," she said, her voice unwavering. "I don't belong, but I was chosen. This world is dying, and your grip has grown too tight. It's time for the cycle to be reborn, for life to return to Nyx." The Warden let out a scream, a sound of pure fury and desperation. It lunged at her, its crystalline form shifting into a weapon, a spear of light aimed directly at her heart. But as it closed in, Clara lifted the heart above her head, letting its power flood outward, a blinding wave of warmth that enveloped the entire chamber. The Warden froze mid-strike, its form disintegrating into particles of light, dissolving into the very air. Its final scream faded into silence, and Clara felt the tension release, as if a great weight had been lifted from the planet itself. As the light receded, Clara looked down at the heart in her hands. Its glow had dimmed, and she felt its energy slipping away, flowing back into the planet. The echoes murmured softly in her mind, a gentle farewell. "You have restored the cycle, Clara. Nyx is reborn, and balance has returned. You have given us another chance." She felt a pang of sadness as the echoes began to fade, their voices growing softer with each passing second. "Will I see you again?" she asked, her voice filled with a sudden longing. "Our time here is done. The cycle must continue, but it no longer needs us to survive. You have given Nyx a future." With that, the echoes faded into silence, leaving her alone in the chamber, the heart of Nyx resting quietly on the altar. She took a deep breath, feeling a profound sense of peace settle over her. The Warden was gone, and the planet was safe. The echoes of ancient lives had been freed, and Nyx was alive again. As she made her way back up through the labyrinthine caves, she noticed subtle changes around her. The colors of the stones seemed brighter, the air lighter. She could feel the pulse of the planet beneath her feet, like a heartbeat, steady and strong. Nyx had come back to life, its essence flowing freely, no longer restrained by the oppressive force of the Warden. When she finally emerged from the cave, the alien forest welcomed her with a vibrant glow. The bioluminescent plants and towering trees seemed to sway gently, as if acknowledging her presence, honoring her as part of the cycle. And then, from the shadows of the forest, her alien guide appeared, watching her with a faint smile. Its gaze was softer now, its face serene, as if relieved. "You did it," it murmured, stepping forward. "Nyx is at peace, thanks to you." Clara took a shaky breath, her heart swelling with a mix of relief and exhaustion. "It was the echoes. They showed me what I had to do. I think they're gone now." The alien nodded solemnly. "They've been waiting for this moment, waiting for someone to restore the cycle. You have freed them, and you have given Nyx hope." They stood in silence for a moment, surrounded by the gentle glow of the forest. Clara looked up at the alien sky, her heart stirring with a bittersweet ache. "Will I ever be able to leave Nyx?" The alien tilted its head, considering her question. "Nyx has claimed you, but it has also granted you freedom. The cycle has been restored, the planet no longer binds you. When you are ready, it will release you." A rush of gratitude filled her, and she felt a newfound strength blossoming within her. She looked at her guide, a soft smile breaking across her face. "Thank you for everything." The alien nodded, its eyes shimmering with something like pride. "The cycle will remember you, Clara. Nyx will remember." With a final look at the world she had saved, Clara took a deep breath, feeling the pulse of the planet as if it were her own. She knew she would leave soon, returning to the stars, but a part of her would always remain here, woven into the fabric of Nyx, a quiet echo in the endless cycle of life.